welcome back to another episode of Indexer Office Hours. Today is the 28th of March, and this is IOH 100. That is incredible. I know I said last week that I'm amazed that we're at 99, and I'm even more blown away that we're at 100. So many of you will know this already, but for anyone who's new, this is the town square for graph ecosystem participants to come together and discuss the most important and relevant topics for indexers. This is a conversation, and by that token, we love participation. And so at various parts of today's episode, we would love to hear your voice, either by text or unmuting your mic. And if you're having any challenges with that, let us know. As a reminder, this is going to be recorded and put onto public channels like YouTube. And so if you're concerned about privacy, please bear that in mind. And with that, let's get into today's exciting agenda. So as I always do, I'm going to start off today's call with a shout out to 𝗨𝗂𝗧𝗧. And this was 𝗨𝗂𝗧𝗧 109. And in this episode, Nick interviews 𝗨𝗀𝗂𝗧𝗧, if I'm pronouncing the name correctly, who's the co-founder of Mimic. Mimic is a DeFi solution that makes it super easy and safe to be able to invest in DeFi via smart vaults. And throughout the conversation, the various topics that were covered were his experience at 𝗨𝗀𝗬𝗀𝗀, Aragon, Balancer, some of the most inspirational moments that have led to the founding of Mimic, obviously the discussion on the graph and its importance to the to the project, and so if you're interested in any of those things, definitely do check out that particular episode. And with that, I'll hand it over to Anna, who's going to take us into Repo Watch.
Thank you, Abel, and hello everyone at Repo Watch. Just a few things for today. I have added a few more chains that we have been following in MIPS. I think I'm not done with all of them, but I'll keep on adding. And we have had a lot of releases and a lot of changes. So with that, let's start with execution layer clients. So on Aragon, we have had a new release, so version 2.41.0. So this release adds configuration for the Shanghai upgrade for the mainnet, Ethereum mainnet. It also adds a command line flag to explicitly connect to BitTorrent peers. So that's torrent static peers flag. It has some bug fixes, and it has a breaking change where support for Go 1.18 has been removed. All right. On the next version, on Nethermind, we have had new Nethermind release. So this is version 1.17.3. Again, this updates the change spec for the Shanghai mainnet upgrade. And what that means is that for user, no configuration changes are required on Nethermind's side to work properly on the 𝗨𝗂𝗧𝗧 hard fork. And the mainnet 𝗨𝗂𝗧𝗧 hard fork will be happening again on April 2023. And I actually have a link for you guys where you can, I don't know if everyone has seen this link from Metrica, where you can see where we are. So I'll just share that link. Okay, and on Avalanche, I've added Avalanche this week. So only covering the new releases from this week. There's a lot of releases from previous weeks. But from this week, from the least recent to most recent, so version 1.9.15, this version and the next one are both backwards compatible to version 1.9.0. And both of these releases are optional but encouraged. And for 1.9.15, there have been the MerkleDB get late largest key has been fixed to correctly handle no changes. Some tests have been added, and then CPU and bandwidth performance regressions have been fixed. Next version, version 1.9.16, This version, same, backwards compatible to 1.9.0. It removes unnecessary repolling after rejecting vertices. It improves snowstorm lookup handling and reduces default health check values for processing decisions. This is all I have this week for execution layer clients. If there are any comments, please share in the chat or unmute yourself, and I'll keep on going until I see any comments. Okay, so Matthew has upgraded 𝗟𝗀𝗀𝗧 and Lighthouse, and both are working fine. Thank you very much. I actually have a question about 𝗟𝗀𝗀𝗧 and Lighthouse, but I'll get back to that in a second. So going to consensus layer clients, we have had new release for Prism. So this is version 4.0.1. What you need to know is that this release is exactly the same as version 4.0.0. So what that means is the difference is on the Prism side checksum. So if you do upgrade to the latest release from 4.0.0, you shouldn't see any impact whatsoever. So what changed here? So Prism upgrade from version 3 to version 4. There have been some block processing updates. There are a lot of flags removed, and I won't go through all of them, but I highly suggest you check the agenda before upgrading, because all of these flags will probably cause you breaking changes. And some of the things that were added, so from a configuration point of view, mainnet Capella epoch have been set, some metrics have been added, so BLS to exec count in the operation pool, PubSub metric racers, and late block metrics have all been added. And then some experimental flags to dev mode for Prism CLI. What this means for everyone is this release is mandatory for mainnet Prism users, and this enables Capella upgrade with epoch 1940-48. So failure to upgrade will result in your node forking off the chain. And if you are a validator, the validator will be losing rewards. And basically what it means, you must upgrade your mainnet beacon node and validator client to 4.0.1 before April 12. On 𝗨𝗀𝗂𝗧, we have had a new release. This is release 23.3.1. This is, again, required update containing the Capella fork configuration. All users should upgrade. And really important with 𝗨𝗂𝗧, you should upgrade your execution layer client to the latest version first before upgrading consensus layer client. I'm pretty sure this actually applies to all consensus layer clients. You need to make sure they're compatible with the hard fork. This release also includes a security bug, so CVE 2022-1471. However, this has not been fixed in this version because 𝗨𝗂𝗧 functionality is not affected at all. A future dependency will fix this security issue. Then there have been some added mainnet configuration for Capella network, adding experimental features, and improved completed regeneration in info messages so that it is more technically accurate. On Nimbus, we have had a new release. This is 23.3.2, low urgency but mandatory upgrade provide for full support for the upcoming Capella hard fork. So again, upgrade before April 12. On Lighthouse, we have had two releases. So first we had version 4.0.1 RC, so release candidate. So this is the Chapella ready release. This release is a hotfix to patch a bug introduced in version 4.0.0. Now here, please pay attention because you won't find version 4.0.0 in GitHub. They, Lighthouse removed that version. So if you are currently running 4.0.0, then do upgrade to 4.0.1 RC0 or the latest, so 4.0.1. If you have not upgraded to 4.0.1 and are on 3.5.1, then you can take no action. Some other things to know here. So Lighthouse will start periodically emitting some logs 2 weeks before the 𝗨𝗂𝗟𝗶 upgrade. So that's tomorrow. So from tomorrow onwards, if you are running any of the versions we're talking about today, you will see in your logs not ready for 𝗨𝗂𝗟𝗶 or ready for 𝗨𝗂𝗟, depending on whether you have updated your execution layer client. The next version here is 4.0.1. So this is where I wanted to comment on 𝗨𝗟𝗀𝗀 and double check with Matthew. So there is, in this version, there is a known incompatibility between Lighthouse version 4 onwards and 𝗨𝗟𝗀𝗀 version 2.40.1, which causes 𝗨𝗟𝗀𝗀 to time out. And the error is this. So if you're running 𝗨𝗟𝗀𝗀 with Lighthouse, you should remain on versions 3.x. So 3.5.3, I think, was the 3.5.1 was the latest version of Lighthouse that works with 𝗨𝗟𝗀𝗀. And they are waiting to release a new upgrade on that. And then I've also included for Lighthouse what execution layer clients they are working with for this version. Yes, basically Vincent is conforming what I've just said. Newest 𝗨𝗟𝗀𝗀 version plus newest Lighthouse don't work together. So they will come up with the release. And that is it for this week. Any comments, questions? So many updates indeed.
Yeah, there is also a new version of 𝗨 that should be run on anything mainnet production, the 3.0.3.7. So if you're running a vanilla Polygon, or I'm not sure if Streaming Fast has already merged the differences, but yeah, for Polygon we should be moving to 0.0.3.7.
Thank you for that, Cohen. And I guess this is a good question, a good time to ask if Polygon should be included in Repo Watch. Just give me a thumbs up if you think so, and I will take that action for next week. And with that, I will hand over to Han. Thank you.
Thanks, Hannah. So for Protocol Watch, we have a few updates. Going into form governance, we have 𝗨𝗂𝗂𝗧, which is the L2 migration helpers. There was a question regarding like fully vested token log wallets and how the migration was gonna be for them. And the answer is that yes, ideally you could specify any new beneficiary since the tokens are fully vested anyways. But they uncovered that there's an issue with how the actual Graph Token Log wallet contracts handle ETH payments. So they're trying to figure out some solutions for that. But yes, ideally it should be able to point to any new beneficiary, given that it's fully vested. But again, it's being worked on. Next, we have 𝗨𝗨43, which is activating indexing rewards in the Graph network on Arbitrum 1. The council has already voted for 5% of the indexing reward to be moved to Arbitrum 1. So the team is working to basically activate those indexing rewards. And this is the same update for 𝗨𝗀𝗳𝗂𝗪, which is basically the graph arbitrum deployment with linear rewards minted in L2. Both are linked, so to speak, even though they're just parts of the same implementation. Next up, into forum research, we have 2 new core dev updates for Streaming Fast and Messari. If you're interested in those, the links are in the agenda. And there's a question regarding the slasher address in staking contract. I think that information should be public in the contracts, so I'm not entirely sure why it was asked, but yeah, that's pretty much it for forum research. Getting into the contracts repository, we have the work related to the GAPs that we were discussing, mainly the L2 linear rewards and minting in L2, updating the addresses.json for the contracts, given that we have the latest testnet stage for Arbitrum. Also allowing bridging legacy GRT to L1. I think this is for the CLI itself for the contracts, most likely for testing. And also some chores like updating the address book with the new updates for linear rewards. For the network subgraphs, we don't have any new releases since last IOH, and that's pretty much it for Protocol Watch. So I'm gonna hand it over to Abel now.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Juan and Anna, for the updates there. Today is the 100th episode of Index Office Hours, which is insane to even fathom. We've been doing this for 100 weeks, I guess, which is pretty crazy. And so I wanted to kind of, yes, Slim, there is a POAP. I will be distributing a POAP and asking for people's information at the end of today's conversation, because it is a special one. Before I get into talking a bit about the 100th episode and what some stuff I wanted to cover in relation to that, I want to share that I want to express my gratitude to everyone who has stepped up and helped with the POI radio and the Graphcast launch. All of the feedback has been absolutely invaluable. And we very much appreciate each and every one of you who have stepped up to help out. If anyone else who hasn't done so already would like to step up and try the POI radio and give us some feedback, I'm dropping the form there. And then I'm also going to drop a blog post which literally dropped 10 minutes ago, and the associated tweet storm. So if anyone is curious to learn a bit more about Graphcast, if you don't already know a lot about it, you can go check it out there. Cool. So I just want to keep this super light. I know that the feedback we've received is that folks sometimes like to have more time to just have a free-flowing discussion. So I kept this IOH 100 section I'm going to keep it quite short. But I just wanted to talk a bit about where we've come from and also where we want to head to. So as some of you may know, this first started off by Jim spinning up a weekly call, kind of like a informal drop-in clinic for folks to come in and talk a bit about their indexer and kind of troubleshoot with other more experienced indexers in the room. And from there, it kind of evolved and, we started to introduce stuff like Protocol Watch, Repo Watch, and the MIPS updates, and also workshops and stuff like this. And those seem to be received pretty well. But I wanted to ask a question to all of you in here, which is, how do we feel about bringing in a drop-in style clinic, more office hours-y type call? So potentially, recorded, non-recorded, we can figure that out. But it does sound strange when you say it like that. But I'm going to put in drop-in in the chat. And then, somebody seems to have dropped off. That was funny. We'll do a Y for yes, and then an N for no. So would you guys like to potentially have a more bringing it back to the more OG style of index office hours. I'm trying to figure out like what people find valuable, and if we want to bring back those kind of sessions, I would love to hear some feedback. So that's that. I'll let the poll go as I move on. Actually, I'll ask recorded, and then I'll do the same thing. Y or N. Let me know if you'd like that session to be recorded, if you want us to do that. And then I also, or if you want more presentations. Yes, exactly. That's a good question to ask as well. So if anyone doesn't see that, Matthew's asked the group if you want more presentations on Firehose, substreams, EVMX, and specifically what topics, in addition to those ones you'd like to hear. This is the perfect opportunity, as we kind of sit back and reflect on which 100 and think about what the next 100 will be like. We'd love to hear your feedback and thoughts on what kind of content you'd like to see. I definitely enjoyed when we come together and discuss. Well, but yeah, okay, that's really helpful, Derek. So that kind of, and I'm assuming you mean just more general happenings, right? Is that correct? No. I think you might be unmuted, but we can't hear you. It might be the same audio issue. Slim, if you could help Derek out, that'd be awesome. It seems to be an issue today, audio, but we should be able to get that sorted for you.
Should be good now.
Yeah, do you want to try, Derek? Yeah, seems to be.
I didn't hear him for just a split second. Oh,
okay.
there he is again.
All right, here we go. I got my push to talk bound. I mean, like when I was first coming in, that was at the launch of curation and stuff like that, and we were talking about what was happening with the curation market and all that type of stuff. But I definitely enjoyed the the ability of indexers to kind of coordinate and get a feel for what's happening in the protocol, things that we'd like to see, and kind of have a voice in how the network is progressing. And from there, different initiatives can be started and all that type of stuff. But that's something that I enjoyed.
Amazing, and that's really useful because we can definitely explore bringing that back as well. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing, Derek. And then I have a question here from Anton saying, I don't understand. Do you propose having one more call a week, or do you want to change this one a bit? Yeah, I should have been more clear. I was suggesting potentially having one of these calls turn into we'll have like a month's worth of calls, and then maybe every 2 weeks we'll have like a drop-in style clinic office hours where it's a bit more open and people can come and say, hey, I'm having this issue. What do other indexers think about this, and how can I, XYZ, and kind of have more of a call like that, and we can decide if we want to record it or not as well. But that's what I mean. Hopefully that has clears some stuff up. Another question I wanted to ask. Oh, sorry, is someone else going to comment?
I wanted to say that the scope and the work and all the things happening in the graph is ever increasing. We are adding more chains, and we have, I don't know how many core teams we have now, 5 or even more. So there is more and more to keep track on, and there is a lot of things happening. And I think for me, what I see as one of the functions of Indexer office hours is sort of to help keep track of everything that is happening and everything that we should be aware of, going from what is happening with all the different chains that we are trying to support, and what is happening in terms of Firehose process, and what is happening in terms of this. I think the entire L2 migration will be another very big one that would be very helpful, at least in my opinion, to closely follow through Indexer office hours. I think even if some discoveries are made through the, I don't know, 30 channels we have in the Graph Discord, to sort of highlight of stuff that is, that's useful to know. I feel it's increasingly more challenging to sort of keep track of everything myself, to keep reading all the channels, to keep reading all the the communication of other chains. So if index office hours could sort of be the summary for us to keep on top of everything, to make sure our operations run smooth, I think reading Discord is a full-time job, exactly. um, and then we have the servers. So I think for me that would be a very, very valuable role of indexer office hours.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic feedback, and I definitely, like that. That's why we've brought in stuff like Protocol Watch, Repo Watch, and MIPS updates and stuff like that. Like, and all of the workshops that we've been doing thus far. Like, yeah, we definitely want to serve that function, and just to hear that confirmation that like that's the main value that people are getting from IOH is really gratifying. So yeah, we'll definitely continue to double down on that. Like, we've been speaking in the past about having this like QoS section, and that conversation has developed a little bit. We're yet to implement that, but like that's something that we want to look into going forward as well. Like having a QoS discussion, and just making this like a place that indexers can come to and get the signal, right? Get the signal and be able to get the high level of what's going on and what you need to know as an indexer. That's really good to hear. What about a newsletter? Like, is that something that people will be, we're debating setting one up as a way of like, serving as an async function, like to do exactly that, right? To keep people up to date with everything they need to know as an indexer with the growing complexity of the ecosystem. So how do people feel about that? I'm going to do another poll. I'm going to put a newsletter down, and then I'm going to go yes or no, and then depending on that we can discuss. Would be interesting for sure. Cool, nice. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, okay, cool. So it seems like I think a call is good to me. Okay. So it's a mixed bag. So some people are saying newsletter would be interesting. I would appreciate that. And then others are saying I think the call is sufficient, and I have too many newsletters to read, which is totally fair. This orange. Yeah. Okay. Just ones. Updates. Okay. Cool. Okay. All right. So some people are saying that they want a newsletter. Some people are saying it's too much. It might be worth for those who actually want it to set it up, and then obviously those who don't and find the call sufficient, obviously you don't need to subscribe to it. You can stick to the call. So we might start doing that. I can see people have already written down as you use ChatGPT to summarize. ChatGPT is incredible at summarizing. I would like to know, beyond what's already in the chat, what people would like to see in the newsletter. I'm seeing Vince saying that, covering quick updates, like, hey, upgrade your Gnosis nodes, are kind of like what Repo Watch is doing, but like, in written form. That's useful to know. Anything else that people would like to, hear, see, like see in the newsletter? Yes, that's true. Vince Zapier has a GPT prompt integration. It's incredible. I mean, yeah, those two tools combined are going to be game changing. Yeah. Call is good. Okay. Yeah, I think Anton is pretty sold on the call. Well, I'm glad it's serving a function. I think we'll definitely continue doing the call. Like, I'm not implying that by doing a newsletter we'll stop the calls. I think tons of people are getting value from the call. It's just more like, should we add this as an addition for folks who would like to keep tabs on things in a more async fashion? I know that we've gone to 6 p.m. UTC, and I know that means for some people in Europe and Asia, the time might be a bit more difficult to make since there's been a recent switch. But that's good to know. Another thing I would like to know is I'm seeing a lot of regular faces, and often it's mostly regular faces, but I'm very curious. Anyone in here, like a new indexer who's joined the MIPS program? So I'm just gonna write like new indexer, and then I'm gonna do it. Yes. So if you're a new indexer, just write a yes there. Okay, so it's a few. Reason why I ask is because what I've heard from newer indexers is that IOH is very useful, but can be quite overwhelming. And so, oh wow, interesting, Matthew. I was unaware. That's really cool. Yeah, you're very experienced. Even though you're new. Yeah, a lot of your new indexers are saying that IOH is great, but a bit overwhelming. So we're also considering setting up a new indexer call, maybe bi-weekly or monthly, where it's a bit looser, less structured, and more just helping newer indexers get set up. So that's something that I was curious to see how many indexers here are newer. So okay, cool. Well, that's useful. And then let's see. Okay, I'll leave it there. This was really useful. I just wanted to kind of get a poll on a few things from the community, and so I really appreciate everyone engaging there. Yeah, I mean, we're at 100. We're at the 100 mark. It's crazy to even say that, and we are certainly going to continue so that we reach the next 100 mark. And we're constantly trying to evolve this call to make it as useful as possible for the indexers in the call. So any feedback that you guys have would very much appreciate it. Obviously, these calls are a fantastic way to share your feedback, but we also do have a little form that you can submit some additional feedback to, and it's in the agenda. So we have it in every agenda. So if you scroll to the bottom, there's a little survey thingy that you can pop your feedback in. You can either share topics that you want to hear in the future, or just any general feedback, and we would love to hear that. Cool. I will pause here because I want to create the space for people to chat about any interesting things, any interesting topics. And so, yeah, if anyone wants to, kind of shoot the shit on any topics, now is the opportunity. So I see Matthew typing there, so I'll let him go. Oh, he was responding to the. That's funny. Cool. Well, yeah. Any topics that people want to cover in today's conversation? We have a bunch of indexes here. I wanted to make space. I know that people really appreciated. I think it was not last week, but the week before. The more looser IOH, and we kind of we freestyled a little bit. So yeah, Derek, I think you've unmuted, so fire away.
Now that we've launched the the direct payments into the studio, have we had any update on the sunsetting of the hosted network?
That is a great question. Pedro's not here, unfortunately, and he's the best person to ask that to. But what I'll do is I'll ping Pedro, and I can get back to you on Discord if that's okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome. Yeah. Sorry, I don't have a direct answer for you, but I'll make sure to get one to you as soon as I hear back. But yeah. Any sort of question is relevant. MIP stuff as well. We can talk about if anyone has any questions there as well. Oh, I see some people typing. Yeah, Matt GPT. Oh, that's a interesting question from Vince. Um, yeah, what are people's thoughts on that? Oh, were you trying to unmute there, Matthew? I think saw a bubble pop up. Let me know if you're having any audio issues and we can try to sort that out. I see people typing.
I think maybe one of the things I can say around disaster recovery, I mean, it's not technically disaster recovery, but with regards to fire hose and the potential need to reprocess everything, I've been working on storing a collection of chain snapshots that are some increments apart, like 1 million blocks apart, and I take a new snapshot and I dump it into my backup, and 1 million blocks further away another snapshot, so that if we ever need to reprocess the entire chain, which can happen for various reasons, that I can try to do it a lot faster, or if I discover some issue in a certain range, that I can just go back to, yeah, have this snapshot somewhere, that I can recover. And it's been a painstaking process, um, but yeah, I think, or I hope that at some point, this actually, all this effort might be valuable somehow.
Was that helpful, Vince? Um, see that typing is happening. Sweet, I see some action in the chat, which is good. This is awesome to see people trade notes. Oh, Anna, I can see your comment in the chat. Yeah, apologies for that. Like the team have been super busy trying to get back to everyone, and rest assured, Pedro will be getting back to you. I'm assuming if you have messaged the email, then rest assured you'll hear back from them. Apologies if it's taken too long, but you'll definitely hear back from them. Just make sure that you've sent to the email and not to Discord or something. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, this is very interesting. I appreciate everyone sharing in the chat. Yes, it is indeed. The chat is on fire. Matthew was saying that it's nice to have everyone here live chatting. Even if we're not doing it in audio, it's good that it's been done in text. And I'm really liking the trading of notes here. This is awesome.
Yeah, for me, it's also a clear-cut situation that I will not run any indexer on a chain where I don't have at least two independent RPCs. And ideally, I would spread out more in data centers and providers and whatever not. But for now, the criteria means that I at least have two. Never upgrade them at the same time, if at all possible. Keep one on a different version for basically for as long as possible, to sort of to minimize any potential risks of specific cases and corruptions or whatever happening. So I will not be indexing on any chain that I don't have at least two RPCs running. Again, it's not exactly, well, I guess it depends on your definition. What is disaster recovery, and maybe that's our first question. But yeah, for me, this is a quite crucial one that I don't want to support anything that I don't have a fallback for, basically. And then of course, I try to make backups of all those chain data stuff, on a regular basis. But yeah, I think disaster recovery or disaster preparedness, potentially is could could be a very big topic.
Agreed. A very big one. And there's so many different ways to approach it. So I appreciate you sharing, Cohen.
Just to comment on, I think it was Matthew speaking.
You're breaking up for me, Anna, but I think you are
Sorry,
confirming who was
don't know.
speaking. I think it was Cohen. Oh, sorry.
I was
Oh, seems to be
paying attention at the phone. I also think that, again, depending on your risk appetite for disaster recovery, you also
Can you hear me right now?
I don't know if it's just me, but that was like the Terminator. It was like so choppy. Anna, if you want, like either type out your response or maybe hop in and out or something. But yeah, I didn't hear any of that. Well, maybe try again. I don't know. But yeah, it was really choppy. Yeah, sweet. That makes sense. Yeah.
There's also pretty much the opposite direction that you could take it, in the sense that we can take as many measures that we can and pay quite fundamentally for it. But at the same time, all the data that we're using, that we're serving, that we're processing, it all exists on chain. So even if we were completely wiped out, basically we could recover by just syncing our RPC and indexing again. Yeah, it will take time, but essentially all that data, it exists somewhere. I guess it's the beauty of Web3. It exists somewhere, so we can obtain it again. It's that makes it a matter of, okay, how much downtime do you have, and how much how much percentage of your operation is impacted by the downtime that you have. Say I have my Ethereum node fully down. Okay, if I'm split across several chains and my other chains are still running fine, maybe the impact is 10-20% of my operation, and maybe that's sort of in a way an affordable or acceptable risk. Um, Maybe this is actually a topic that sometimes some IOH we can discuss. But I think my tendency is sort of to increase the measures, and to have double RPCs and double everything, at least as much as possible. But at the same time, everything that we use and everything that we serve, it exists somewhere on chain, so we could always recover.
Yeah, that's a great idea to potentially go deeper into this on a future IOH. And yeah, yeah, very much appreciate you sharing additional context there. And yeah, I completely agree about the beauty of blockchain in this respect. I see some questions here following up. Let's have a look. Yeah, the chat seems to be on fire today. It's really good to see.
potentially one of the things that could be interesting is sort of the single subgraph backup and restore functionality. Right now, at least to me, it seems that we are still doing it at full database level, and there is some stuff that is interwoven together. And I think in case of disaster or in case of problems, for example, I have one subgraph that is always messing me up, and the sort of the single subgraph backup and restore. I think this could be a quite useful one, to spend engineering time basically on whichever core team that wants or needs to tackle.
Wow, the chat is really on fire. Like trying to keep up here. Cool. Well, the chat keeps going, and we're close to the top of the hour, but I don't want to stop the flow here. So, what I'll do is, I think we can wrap today's episode and but keep the call going. So, if anyone wants to stick around and continue the chat in the chat box, you're more than welcome to. But I think we can pause the recording here. So yeah, I just want to say.